Throughout history, there have been many different execution methods used to take the life of a condemned criminal. In Britain, there was hanging, drawing and quartering, a public method used which had many different steps, each much worse than the previous. The point of this was to create a sense of prolonged suffering on the condemned, to make sure that they paid for their crimes. Many people preferred seeing brutal execution methods. For example, in France, some people criticised the guillotine when it was brought in to take the heads off people. This would of course become a symbol of the French Revolution, and be a machine that took the heads off the King and Queen of France, Louis XVI and Marie Antoinette. But the population preferred seeing more terrifying and less clinical methods used, such as the breaking wheel, as it was said that these were less efficient, and people enjoyed seeing the suffering. Inside of France there was an execution method and machine used, which aimed to end someone's life very quickly. The garrote today is seen as a method of strangulation, using ropes or some form of wire or string, but there was a machine used that was thought to be more reliable than an executioner literally strangling the life out of someone. Welcome to the Fortress. Today we look at the garrote machine, and to support our channel, please make sure to subscribe. The garrote, as mentioned, is commonly seen as an execution method in which an executioner or someone strangles and brings the life of another person to an end using material of some sorts. During the Second World War, this was even deployed by secret agents and commando soldiers as a way of silent killing, and it was used as a way of eliminating an enemy without creating alarm. Soldiers were trained how to use this, and different militaries used different style garrotes to school soldiers on how to kill using it. But there was an execution machine known as a garroting machine. The use of strangling was seen as barbaric, and throughout the centuries, different executioners innovated to make different methods of executions smoother to be applied without any problems or botches. This is what happened with the gallows, as in America, different gallows such as the upright jerker were developed, but little had any effect on executions going wrong. The most primitive form of garroting machine was when a criminal was taken up to an upright post, and this piece of wood then had 2 holes drilled into it. The rope or cord was passed through the holes, and the condemned was then stood against a post, and the rope placed around their neck. The executioner then strangled and pulled on the rope from behind until death then occurred. Then further innovations came as seats were placed on the short posts to allow condemned people to sit down in a more relaxed manner, making the work of the executioner easier. Also, executioners twisted a stick in the loop of the rope to tighten it and then strangle someone. The next form of a garroting machine came as the condemned had their wrists, arms, waists, and legs secured on the device, and then a hinged iron collar was locked around their neck. This device was very different, as instead of bringing in a rope, a sharp blade would be what brought the life of someone to an end. The iron collar was closed around the neck, and then behind the condemned was a handle, which was attached to a screw. On the end of the screw was a spike or a star-shaped blade, which ran through the post, and when the screw or handle was turned, the blade then entered the neck of the condemned at a precise point, and this would then sever the spinal column. This was seen as a more humane way than strangling a prisoner. There were in some cases 2 brass collars which were deployed. One was attached to the lever, and both were locked around the prisoner's neck in position. The executioner then forced one of the collars outwards, and this had the effect as to dislocating the neck of the prisoner, which caused unconsciousness and then death. One witness who saw this sort of execution in the 1800s claimed, "The condemned man mounted the platform and was seated on a short post with his back to a strong upright post. The executioner fastened the iron collar round his neck. When all was ready, he took the lever in both hands, and then at the prearranged signal turned the lever, so drawing the collar tight, whilst his assistant threw a black cloth over Roxas' face. A convulsive pressure of the hands and a heaving of the chest were the only visible signs of the passing of the robber's spirit. After a pause of a few seconds, the executioner peeped behind the cloth, and after giving another turn of the screw, removed the cloth. The dead man was slightly convulsed, the mouth open, and the eyeballs were turned into their sockets." Usually, whilst using the garroting machine, the victim lost consciousness quickly, and within a number of minutes they were dead. It was not always successful in achieving this instantly. The first woman to be executed using this sort of machine was Juana Rivero on the 3rd of November 1824 in Madrid. She had been condemned for robbery, but then 7 years later, another woman, Mariana Pineda, was executed on the machine for treason but her execution went very wrong. The spike of the garrote pierced her neck, and it was twisted too tightly, and it went straight through her mouth. Her body was then stripped naked, and was thrown inside of a cheap coffin for burial. The final woman executed on this in public was Higiana Balaguer, who was condemned for her involvement in a murder. She was executed in front of thousands of people in Madrid. Garroting machines were used until 1974, when 2 men were executed on it on the same day in Barcelona and also in Tarragona. It was an execution device which aimed to bring the life of someone to an end quickly, but instead of strangling someone, later garrotes used blades to sever the spinal column and to bring about death in a different manner. It was the official execution method in many Spanish colonies and was used inside these lands, but today it's a method of the past and is not used across the world. Thanks for watching. To support our channel, please make sure to subscribe, and once again, thank you so much for watching.